Lagos glistened under the evening rain, the neon lights painting the city in streaks of gold and crimson. Bisi Oladell sat hunched in the back of a taxi, her engagement ring catching the dashboard light, more like a chain than a promise. She had left Tunde's house abruptly, the suffocating weight of his expectations pushing her out into the wet night. The driver, a man with a deep, calming voice, glanced at her through the rearview mirror. "Long night ahead?" he asked. "Something like that," Bisi murmured, brushing rain from her curls. "I just need it out." "Sometimes," he said, eyes thoughtful, "we need to get lost to find clarity." There was something about him, his voice, his presence, that made her feel safe in a way she hadn't in a long time. When he told her his name was Aramu, she felt it settle into her like a name she already knew. They drove in silence for a while. Then Bisi asked, "Do you believe in fate?" Aramu's smile was tinged with sorrow. "Number, I believe in choices and consequences. Fate is just the name we give to the roads we carve ourselves." "Have you ever been in love?" she asked. "Yes," he said, voice low. "Once. It was powerful, eternal, but it was taken from me. Since then, I've wandered, cursed to ferry the brokenhearted, hoping to find her again." Bisi froze. "You're cursed?" Aramu's gaze met hers in the mirror, deep, timeless eyes that seemed to carry centuries. "Yes, and you. There's something about your sadness that echoes mine." When the taxi arrived at her building, Bisi hesitated. "Will I see you again?" Aramu nodded. "Every night, if you want me to." She stepped out, heart racing. For the first time in years, she felt like she had a choice. The next morning, Bisi didn't go home to Tunde. She stayed in, replaying the night in her mind. Outside her building, the same taxi reappeared around 8 a.m., dropping off an elderly woman. From her window, Bisi watched Aramu help the woman with her bags, offering her his umbrella with a soft smile. Something about that quiet kindness lingered. Later that day, Tunde arrived unannounced. He looked around her apartment, neat but stripped of warmth. "You didn't come home," he said. "I needed time." "To think?" he asked, raising a brow. "To breathe," she said. "Something I haven't done in a while." He looked out the window and noticed the taxi idling outside. "You've been going around in taxis now?" His tone was half sarcastic. She followed his gaze but said nothing. That evening, Tunde returned to his estate, agitated and curious. He scrolled through his phone and called Uchi, one of his security guys. "Send me the gate footage from last night, the time Bisi left." When the file came in, he watched her exit with her overnight bag, step into a taxi, and shut the door softly behind her. He paused the footage, zoomed in on the license plate, then on the driver's face. The face was faint, but the eyes, steady and too calm for someone who knew nothing, stood out. Days passed. Tunde visited one of his old university friends who worked in Lagos transport. "Do you have access to taxi driver registration?" "Why? You looking for someone?" "Not really, just trying to." They ran the plate. "Driver's name is Aramu Olakunle. No criminal record. Quiet guy, stays around Mushin area." Tunde didn't say much, but something in him twisted. When Bisi finally called him, her voice was quiet, resolved. "I'm not coming back, Tunde." "You're calling off the wedding?" "Bisi, everything's planned." "Exactly," she replied. "Planned by you, not me. I've spent years creating fairy tales for others. I forgot to live my own." "You're throwing everything away for what?" His voice sharpened. "For a taxi driver?" There it was, the slip she hadn't intended to reveal, but somehow he already knew. Bisi's voice was steady. "For myself, for something real." His bitter words tried to shake her resolve, but her mind was already with Aramu, his sadness, his truth, and that mysterious thread binding them. After hanging up, she found Aramu's number tucked into her purse. She called. "I need to see you," she said. He arrived within minutes. When he saw her packed bag, his eyes flickered with emotion. "You're leaving?" "I have to," she said. "I can't keep living this lie." He reached out, gently cupping her cheek. "And you think I can help you find your truth?" "I know you can." Together they stepped out into the night, hand in hand. Aramu drove to a quiet place by the river, far from the noise and neon of Lagos. The city lights faded behind them, replaced by soft ripples and the sound of night birds. Bisi leaned her head against the window, Watching the silhouette of his face in the dim glow of the dashboard, there was something ancient in his silence. "I need to tell you more about the curse," he said after a while. "I've tried to break it before, with others, but it always ends in heartbreak or death." She turned to face him. "Then this time we find the person who cursed you, together." "It's been centuries, BC. I don't even know who did it. Sometimes I wonder if she even remembers." "Then we'll make her remember," Bissy said. "I believe in us. I believe we were meant to find each other." Aremu looked at her, this woman who barely knew him, yet spoke like she had known his soul for lifetimes. In her eyes, he saw something he thought lost: hope. Their kiss under the moonlight wasn't passionate or urgent. It was quiet and sacred, like the air around them understood. In the days that followed, they began their search. Aremu had stories, old ones passed down through whispered warnings and fading memories. They visited shrines tucked into quiet forests, knelt before forgotten gods whose names still hummed in the winds, and listened to market women who spoke in riddles wrapped in proverbs. BC took notes, asked questions, listened deeply. Each step took them deeper into a history that wasn't only Aremu's, it was now hers too. One evening in a remote village near Abeokuta, an old priestess studied Aremu's eyes with recognition. "You've returned," she said, voice dry like rustling leaves. "You know me?" he asked. "Not your name, but your grief, your silence. They lingered here long ago." She led them to a woman who lived at the edge of the village. The woman's hut was overgrown with vines, her compound scattered with tokens, bones, feathers, broken mirrors. When she stepped out, her presence shook the air. Her eyes, though sunken, held weight. "Aremu," she whispered, not with familiarity but with understanding. "You remember me?" he asked. "I remember what you became after I cursed you." Bisi stepped forward. "Why would you do that to him?" The woman studied her for a long time, then reached out and touched Bisi's face with trembling fingers. "You chose him in freedom, not in desperation. That's why the curse breaks." Aremu's breath caught. "What do you mean?" The woman's voice was almost tender. "The curse was never punishment. It was protection against a love that wasn't whole. It kept you wandering until someone chose you with open eyes and an unchained heart." The weight lifted, not suddenly, not like a spell broken with fanfare, but like fog melting under sunlight. Aremu felt it leave his chest, his bones, the endless ache in his spine. For the first time in centuries, he wasn't searching. Bisi reached for his hand and smiled. Somewhere behind them, the river kept flowing.